She fell to her knees on the most sacred grass court in the world, and for a few seconds, she could not breathe. Not because she lost, because a girl from a country that has never produced a Grand Slam star had just destroyed the defending Wimbledon champion in front of the entire planet. But here's the part nobody is talking about, the part that happened years before this moment, in silence, in loneliness, thousands of miles from home, where a 13-year-old girl was quietly breaking apart just so she could one day put herself back together on this exact court. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what happens after this win is going to shock you even more than the win itself. Before we go any further, if you have ever chased a dream that everyone around you doubted, if you have ever felt invisible while working harder than anyone could see, you need to hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel exists for stories exactly like this one. Stories about the people the world ignored until they made it impossible to ignore them. And trust me, you do not want to miss what is coming in the second half of this story. On the 4th of July, 2026, Alexandra Eala collapsed onto the grass of center court. Her hands were shaking. Her face was soaked in tears. The crowd was roaring around her, but she looked like she was somewhere else completely. Somewhere far away, somewhere that started long before Wimbledon ever existed for her. Because this moment was never just about one tennis match. It was about every lonely night in a foreign country, every sacrifice her family made in silence. Every morning she woke up thousands of miles from everyone she loved. Every quiet whisper that maybe, just maybe, this dream was too big for a girl from the Philippines. And it all started with a little girl in ruffled socks, trying to beat her older brother on a small court after school. Alex was born in Quezon City. Her mother had once competed as a swimmer at regional level, and her father supported the family's love for sport. But tennis in the Philippines is not like tennis in Spain or France or the United States. It is not the sport every child dreams about. There was no path already built for her. No Filipino legend to look up to. No proof that any of this could actually work. She started playing because her grandfather introduced her to the game, and because her brother already played, and like every younger sibling on earth, she just wanted to keep up. There was no talk of Grand Slams, no talk of Wimbledon, just a kid in light-up shoes, hitting ball after ball, hearing the same words from her grandfather over and over again. If you want it, you work for it. But here's where the story turns, because what her family decided next is something most families would never have the courage to do, and it is a decision that quietly built everything you are about to see. When Alex was only 13 years old, her family sent her away, not across the country, across the world, to Mallorca, Spain, to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy. 13 years old enough to understand exactly what she was leaving behind, but nowhere near old enough to stop needing her family every single day. She left her parents. She left her brother. She left everything familiar, and she stepped into a world built entirely on pressure and expectation. It looked perfect from the outside. Elite courts, elite coaches, elite competition. But no academy in the world can cure homesickness. No facility can replace a mother's voice or a father's presence. The first year was brutal. Then the next one. Then the one after that. And here is something most people watching her highlight reels today have no idea about. Something that almost never gets mentioned when people talk about her rise. For years, nothing happened. She trained. She improved. She followed every lesson her grandfather ever taught her. And still, by 2024, her ranking sat around 147 in the world. Not close to famous. Not close to safe. Just good enough to know the dream was real, and not nearly good enough to relax. Every match mattered. Every loss felt heavier because of everything already sacrificed to get there. Her family had to face a question that never gets easier with time. How long do you keep going when the dream refuses to turn into something solid? But Alex never stopped. And then came Miami. Nobody expected what happened at the Miami Open in March of 2025. Alex entered as a wild card, barely a name on the schedule. Then she beat a former Grand Slam champion. Then she beat another major champion. And then she walked on a court against Iga Swiatek, one of the most dominant players of her generation, a champion who made opponents feel like they were slowly running out of time and options on every single point. Alex beat her, 6-2, 7-5, not with luck, Not because Swiatek collapsed. She simply played better on that day, and Swiatek admitted it afterward. That single result changed everything, because for years Alex had carried one quiet question underneath everything she did. Was any of this actually worth it? Miami gave her the answer. But here is the twist, because Miami was not even the biggest test she was about to face. That test was still coming, and when it came, almost nobody expected her to survive it. She kept building after that. She climbed the rankings. She won at lower tour levels to prove Miami was not an accident. And by Wimbledon 2026, something once considered impossible had become official. Alex Eala was seeded 29, the first Filipino player ever seeded at a Grand Slam tournament in history. Round 1, she demolished her opponent and became the first Filipino player to ever win a main draw singles match at Wimbledon. Round 2, she dropped the first set and looked like she might crumble under the pressure of a home Grand Slam stage, but then she won the final set 6-love. A complete bagel, and became the first Filipino singles player to ever reach the third round of a Grand Slam in the modern era. And waiting for her in the third round, once again, was Iga Swiatek. But this was not Miami anymore. This was center court, with the entire tennis world watching, and everyone wanted to know if Miami was real or if it was simply a lucky afternoon that would never repeat itself. Stay with me, because the next 20 minutes of tennis you are about to hear about might be the most tense stretch of grass court tennis played in years. The first set stretched on 40 minutes, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, neither player able to fully pull away. It came down to a tiebreak, and that tiebreak became the emotional center of the entire match. Alex raced ahead 5 points to 2. Then Swiatek clawed her way back. Then Swiatek earned not 1, but 2 set points, moments that decide entire careers, moments where young challengers usually blink first. Alex did not blink. She saved the first set point. Then she saved the second. And at 9 points all, she found something extra, closing out the tiebreak 11-9 after 84 minutes of pure tension. That set alone would have been enough to remember forever, but it was only the beginning of what happened next. In the second set, Alex jumped ahead 4-love. Swiatek fought back, because champions always make you finish the job, closing the gap to 4-2. But Alex refused to panic. She held her nerve, held her shape, and closed out the match 6-2. Alexandra Eala had beaten the defending Wimbledon champion on center court, and then she dropped to her knees, and the tears that followed were not a performance. They were years of loneliness, sacrifice, and doubt finally leaving her body all at once. After the match, she spoke about the little girl in ruffled socks who used to train after school with her grandfather and brother, the little girl who had no idea any of this was coming. And she said that to that little girl. This moment would have meant absolutely everything. But here is the part that should genuinely worry every single one of her remaining opponents. She did not sound satisfied. She sounded hungry, because waiting for her in the next round was Jasmine Paolini, a proven, dangerous, top-level player, and Alex made it clear this was not the end of her run. It was only the middle of it. That is what makes this story so different from every other viral sports upset you have ever seen online. This was not a lucky afternoon that the tour would simply forget about tomorrow. This was a girl from a country with no Grand Slam tradition standing on the oldest, most historic court in the sport, beating one of the greatest champions of her era twice, and still saying out loud that she wanted more. And that is exactly why this moment mattered so deeply back home in the Philippines. It was not only pride, it was permission. Permission for a young girl in Manila or Cebu or Davao to pick up a racket and actually believe this sport could belong to her too. Permission for an entire nation to imagine a completely new kind of sporting hero. Alexandra Eala is not the next Iga Swiatek, and she is not the next anyone else who came before her. She is the very first Alexandra Eala, and that is a far bigger thing to become. Every step she takes now is the first of its kind for an entire country of over 100 million people, and that comes with a weight most of us will never fully understand. But here's the question that nobody can answer yet, the question that is going to define the rest of this year for her. Can she beat Paolini and reach the quarterfinals of Wimbledon? Can a girl who ranked outside the top 100 barely 2 years ago actually go all the way and become a true Grand Slam contender? Nobody knows the answer yet, and that uncertainty is exactly why you need to stay tuned to this channel. because when that next match happens, we're going to break down every single moment of it. And trust me, based on everything you just heard, you do not want to be the last one to find out what happens next. If this story moved you even a little, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on, because stories like this one, the quiet years of sacrifice before the world ever notices, are exactly what this channel is built around, and there's a lot more coming very soon.